They say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and just looking through the late 90s and early aughts, cartoons and television show us that it happened more often than you think, with programs like the Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers being quickly followed up by shows like Biker Mice and Tattooed Alien Fighters hitting the airwaves. Some of these shows are finally remembered despite their cash-in nature, and some folks, myself included, will often refer to these shows as copycat cartoons. One such cartoon pulled from its predecessors, including Gargoyles, Power Rangers, and more, to form what we know today simply as Mummies Alive. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I am your ever-friendly Pokeprof, and welcome back to Fascinating Fiction. So, what is this show exactly, and why do I name it a copycat series? Well, because of how exact it is and what it pulls from other franchises to establish itself. Let me show you exactly what I mean. We start off the show by having one of our main characters, a kid by the name of Presley, getting introduced to a group of ancient beings that have been sleeping for centuries, awaiting for the day that they will reawaken. After doing so, they establish themselves as the protectors of San Francisco, always hiding themselves from other humans thanks to their own inhuman properties. The immediate comparisons to gargoyles kinda makes itself. But that's when we veer into what they took from Power Rangers, as the mummy themselves, tasked with protecting their prince, awaken and morph into upgraded versions of themselves, getting gold armor that powers them in the fight against Scarab, the villain of the show. His whole goal is immortality, having gained a small taste of it because of stealing the soul of the Prince Pharaoh back in the day. That's actually the whole reason why our main cast are with Presley here in the first place. He's the reincarnation of the prince, who was unable to rest in the afterlife after being killed. Why Scarab didn't gain true immortality the first time he drained the Pharaoh is never properly gotten into, just that he's gotta drain Presley now, or, well, there would be no show. Also, me saying they copied Power Rangers is more than just the morphing sequence. They actually got Ron Wasserman, the guy who made the original Power Rangers theme song, to make the theme song for Mummies Alive. And it's actually pretty good. Being a copycat cartoon, however, doesn't necessarily mean that the show itself is bad. You'll get those that throw in the minimal effort and a quick attempt to cash in on the popularity of the show, to be sure, but it isn't like today where we have full-on movies that try to trick the buyer into thinking it's the popular film that it actually isn't. Remind me to show you some of the Asylum films sometime. So, what was the actual quality of Mummies Alive itself? The answer is kinda middling? I mean, don't get me wrong, I've seen worse cartoons by a large margin, but there are a lot of obvious weaknesses that can be seen throughout the series, or heck, even throughout just the first couple of episodes. For a show that was made and animated in the early to late 2000s, the appearance of things looks like it was more at home with the 90s Spider-Man animated series that, while I love that particular cartoon, I'll be the first to admit that had a little bit of problem animation-wise. What about the story itself? Well, the initial idea is pretty strong, and it should be considering the fact that they pulled a lot from Gargoyles and Power Rangers to construct it, but the problem here comes mostly from the lack of breadth in the scenes. We don't get a lot of moments where the characters just get a chance to talk, interact, or develop beyond big guy hungry and good fighter, for example. We get a lot of little moments here and there, but then we're immediately thrown into the plot of the episode. Compare this to how Gargoyles did things in their show. Sure, there was a lot of action and events that had explosions and fighting and whatnot, but there were also a lot of quiet moments where the characters would talk, think, react. At best, we get a haha, this guy burped moment that tells us nothing about the character, why he does what he does, or any other development he may have had. It's not always expected of a cartoon to be true, but even the smallest of character actions can help develop them. Though, honestly, what's perhaps the most annoying aspect of the entire show, which is sad considering it's supposed to be the crux of it all, and a thing that we, as an audience, are supposed to care about, is the character of Presley. A kid character like Jade or Enzo before him, Presley has a problem that's more traditional among his ilk. That is, he doesn't learn, he tends to be a bit on the more annoying side of things, and does nothing but act as a victim in the vast majority of the plot for any given episode. What makes things worse is that he's supposed to be the character that's there to teach the mummies about the new world, about how things are done within the modern era. But because he's a child, not only do the mummies not take him seriously, with one episode even having them laughing at him when he told how earthquakes work, he's supposed to be learning from them. From the century-dead mummies who still call a TV a magic box. I think the thing that personally gets me the most when it comes to the series is, honestly, the missed potential. Believe it or not, the people behind this series are responsible for the third season of Gargoyles. And while fans of that particular series will eagerly tell you that its quality went into a nosedive with that particular season, you would think that anyone who actually put work within the series would learn a bit from it. You can see they wanted to do some things with the mummies, and there was even a rumored season 2, but it got cancelled due to low ratings. So, I'm betting a lot of you are asking yourselves right now, why did Pokeprof cover something on here that was negative, as even my most harsh videos about stuff I've not quite liked has been mostly a positive review? Well, I'm of the opinion here that we do always need to learn from our mistakes, the errors in the past that we've made. If we're not willing to look at what we're doing wrong, we can't improve for the future. With that, I could have easily seen Mummies Alive being more than just a slight copycat of better shows. You can tell that they did give some thought to their story and the adventures that they wanted to tell, with an increased focus on Egyptian myth and legends that normally aren't talked about. But the problem came down mostly from the speed in which they were doing everything. There was clear moments that were meant to be impactful and important to the characters, where we were supposed to feel either pride, joy, or fear for what was going on. But the cartoon instead was so eager to get to the next fight scene or the big plot bit of the day that it didn't really give the characters a chance to develop or the story to take place. It simply didn't take its time. Mummies Alive is honestly a show that I felt tried to capitalize on the popularity of other shows, stepping on the shoulders of what came before in hopes of catapulting itself into greatness. And while it fell short of that, I do believe it gave folks something to truly enjoy, and I can only hope that future creators look at the show and work to improve their own products in the future.